There's this one scene in The Dark Knight that still stops me cold, and not for the reason you might think. It's this moment here.
You don't want to die, but you don't know how to take a life. Give it to me.
That one line suggests something deeply unsettling. People are willing to be cruel as long as someone else carries the burden of that cruelty for them. It's called moral outsourcing, the instinct to hand the weight of a terrible decision to someone else, so the guilt never fully lands on you. It's the reason you sometimes hear people say, "I'm just following orders," or "I'm only doing what I was told." It's a way of shifting the fallout onto someone else because no one wants to feel like the villain. Most of the time, moral outsourcing has manageable consequences, but in The Dark Knight, we see this instinct pushed to its breaking point, where the price of handing off responsibility becomes impossible to ignore. For a bit of context, both ferries, one carrying civilians, the other carrying prisoners, are given a choice with no clean answer: blow up the other boat or die together. And the moment that choice appears, something very human happens. You can see the passengers doing mental calculations. They start thinking, if someone has to die, maybe it should be the other side. It's a small, private math, the kind fear makes feel rational. And once everyone starts doing that math at the same time, the room begins searching for a version of the choice they can live with, even if it means someone else won't.
Let's put it to a vote.
In that moment, morality stops being a question of right and wrong, and it becomes a question of who will carry the burden. As the clock ticks toward midnight, the pressure in the room only grows heavier. And so the civilians take a vote, a formal process that makes the choice feel cleaner than it is. The majority chooses to blow up the other boat. At that moment, the decision no longer belongs to any one person. The vote becomes a kind of moral wanderer, spreading the guilt just enough that no one feels fully responsible.
Tally is 140 against, 396 for.
That's why you can see a faint ripple of relief through the room as the results of the vote settle in. It's not just that most of them got the outcome they wanted. It's that they believe the responsibility now belongs to everyone else, a way to preserve the story they tell themselves about who they are. But there's a problem with this kind of outsourcing. Eventually, someone has to take action. In this case, someone has to physically detonate the bomb. Everyone wants the results, but the act itself can't be divided like responsibility can. Because it's one thing to vote for a death in abstract, it's quite another to be the hand that makes it real.
So go ahead, do it!
We're still here. That means they haven't killed us yet either.
And in that gap between what people say they want and what they're willing to do, the entire setup begins to crumble. And so both boats wait for someone, anyone, to take on the role of the villain. Eventually, two men step forward, one from each boat, mirrors of each other but moving in opposite directions. One moves to take the choice away.
Give it to me. You can tell them I took it by force.
The other moves to carry it out.
No one wants to get their hands dirty. Fine. I'll do it.
And in that instant, the weight of the choice lands fully on him. A burden no vote, no calculation, and no shared responsibility can lighten. This is the variable the Joker, the creator of the trap, doesn't fully account for. He understands fear, he understands self-preservation. What he underestimates is how deeply people cling to the story they tell themselves about who they are, even when their life is on the line.
These civilized people, they'll eat each other.
But even with that refusal, the Joker doesn't lose entirely, because both boats still waited. waited for someone else to cross the line for them. What makes the Ferry sequence so unsettling isn't the threat of death. It's how familiar the logic feels. The Dark Knight isn't arguing that people are secretly villains. It's showing that most of us live in the space just before that line, negotiating with fear, responsibility, and identity in real time. The Joker doesn't invent that instinct. He strips away the excuses that usually hide it.
Funny how the smallest things got the heaviest weight to whom it may.